2015. All managers are present. The first item of business is approval of the check register, including the general checking account, the surety account, and the 325 Blake Road checking account. Is there a motion to approve?
So approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? Manager Calkins.
I have a question on the Blake Road account, and it may be just that I'm not understanding it, but it would seem to me that some of the numbers on there should be, the plus and minus signs on some of the numbers are incorrect, as I understand it.
Could you tell us which page to look at?
There's only one page. It's the Blake Road checking account.
In the net operating income line?
It's a 5-page document, but you're looking at the first page of the cover memorandum.
No, it's the May management report for Hopkins Cold Storage.
All right.
And in the operating expenses and taxes, the year-to-date actual is $548,770. The year-to-date budget is $544,243, and the dollar variance in my mind should be a negative number then instead of a positive. Am I wrong?
Mine is not even loading completely, so.
It should be positive.
Income,
Because
Expenses, as I understand, that's why I'm asking the question. Operating expenses were greater than what was budgeted.
right.
That means that the variance should be a negative number.
Yeah, and then the next number is...
And the percentage should be a negative number instead of positive. It's the same number, but a negative.
Right.
Go ahead.
In the,
And then in the last line, the 158.46%, I think should be a positive percent because we made, because more money came in than was expected to be spent.
yeah, I think you're right. I would read it the same way, but
If I might,
Manager Shackleton.
when I read it, if the budget is set at 544,000, I'll leave it at that. And if we're planning for expenses and taxes to cost us 544,000, and instead the expenses and taxes are costing us 548,000, I'd say the variance is 4,000 greater than what we've planned for, which is an increase in how much money has to be spent to cover our budget.
Okay, I understand that.
Like that was the logic I used when I looked at it. It means we have to spend $4,500 more than what we budgeted for, which is an increase of 0.83% over the 544 budget.
So it's a greater expense and taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, that I understand. And the 158 as being negative?
That I think gets back to well. That line was not clear to me.
I don't, I agree with you. It's
Well, it's
the
confusing.
depiction. Yeah, the depiction is not normal.
What is the board's pleasure? Would you like to remove this from consideration and have it explained and brought back to us?
Yeah,
Corrected?
Sure.
well, I don't know if it needs corrected. I think it needs
Yeah, and I'm
explained.
not necessarily, I'm not concerned about the numbers as far as what it means for the district and what the district is spending. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned that it's confusing, and I'm just wondering if there isn't a better way for this to be presented.
No, I agree.
That isn't as confusing. And
Thank
part
you.
of it kind of gets to the question I think that Pam was asking a couple of weeks ago is, this is not being, cold storage is not being, from the district's perspective, is not being run like a business. That's why the debt service is not in here. And I understand that. I'm not sure that the public relates to it that way. But those are some of the things about this and the public can't really find that number easily, those numbers easily. So I'm just wondering if there isn't a better way to make this more understandable by the general public.
Mr. Smith?
Madam Chair, managers, I only wanted to point out that the board has previously delegated to the administrator the payment of these expenses for the Blake Road account. So your action typically to review this is just to acknowledge the report. And so if there are questions about clarifying the report or having it brought back, your action normally would still be to approve the check register as presented.
I understand that.
Manager Shackleton?
I think you're right that this document needs more clarity. I don't think that there's any reason to link the debt service to the management of the building, in that the debt service is associated with the organization, not with the parcel.
And I'm not arguing for that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, you know, I've had phone calls about this. And, you know, I've said this before, I don't have any problems with it at all. But there are questions about it from others, and it just has to do with how they're viewing it. And I think that is partially based on just not having all of the information before them and understanding how the district has approached cold storage in this case. So that, I'm not concerned about that.
Okay.
There's a motion and second. Is there any further discussion?
Is a motion to accept
Motion is
this?
to accept all three.
Did I make that, or did I table it? Because did I make that, or did I second it?
You seconded, I think.
Manager Shackleton moved, Manager Rognes seconded.
Thank you.
Then I'd be willing to withdraw my motion to accept.
I don't believe you can withdraw it once it's been seconded.
Does the motion to table necessitate a vote
Why did you table it? May I ask that first?
to have it clarified?
Well, we're
I would-
not,
Well, the motion, did you make a motion to table?
he has
Oh,
not.
okay. I don't think it's a good idea. We've got to pay the bills. And let's separate this report on 2.3 from the rest of it and,
Yes.
you know, ask for a better depiction of the situation. I don't know what it would be, but it's got to be clearer than this.
Let's
That's your motion to amend the motion?
vote.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Would you repeat the motion, please? The motion
That
to
we
amend?
accept 2.1 and 2.2 for approval and table 2.3.
What is the effect of tabling?
It's,
Let me ask a different question. I understand what tabling is.
this is a report.
What is the effect of, we're postponing acceptance of it, but it's still, all the bills will get paid?
Correct.
Yes.
The surety account and the general checking account would get passed, and the memorandum would
There's
get
been a
tabled.
motion to amend. Is there a second?
It's already seconded by Jim.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion to amend, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under discussion items, I'd like to add one. If I could, 3.2, resolutions report.
The item 3 on our agenda is a discussion of budget ideas and considerations. Did you want to introduce this, Mr. Erdahl?
President White and managers, my name is Nexus. I think this was really proposed by President White as an opportunity for the managers to bring forward different types of budget priorities for the coming year and make sure that there's some way to share those and discuss them among yourselves and have them kind of addressed as they might be in terms of the work programs and the budget for the coming year. So.
Thank you. There's a full and interesting committee meeting to follow, and I intended this to be a very brief discussion. I would say, in fact, if something requires a lot of conversation, it doesn't belong in this discussion. That should be set up as a different conversation. But I would like to know if the board have ideas that they would like to have the staff work into those 2016 work plans that are coming to us next month. And if there are ideas that would require some longer considerations, then we could always flag them as things to be worked on through 2016 and brought through the committee process going forward. Manager Miller?
I'm comfortable with the work plans that they come through, and we've got a good understanding. But I would like to do like a zero-based budgeting analysis on, say, just start at one simple department like administration, and and go through that exercise. And it's a small department, and just see if it would be worthwhile for the entire organization to do a zero-based budgeting approach to develop a budget. You know, in subsequent years, I'm saying.
How would that differ from what we do?
Well, we start out with each, rather than the work program, you know, we've adopted the work program. But the zero-based budgeting would be justifying the budget associated with the work program. And it's, the idea is just to make sure we're efficient and see if the exercise is worthwhile. And if it is, we'd go through another department each year on a zero-based budgeting approach. If it doesn't prove any, if it doesn't show anything, and it's just time-consuming, we drop it. It's policy analysis of budgeting and fiscal analysis are really kind of two different things, and I don't want to get them confused, but I think we have an obligation at some point or another to start reviewing the fiscal aspects on a department by department analysis. But I wouldn't want to go through that whole process for the entire budget, but just try it out on one department.
Let's do this. Let's see if there are other ideas and then decide how to divide the discussion time. Are there other thoughts that managers have had through the week? Yes, Manager Hawkins.
Go ahead.
I don't know zero-based budgeting. I don't know how to react to that because I don't know enough about it.
Well, it's going through every item and deciding whether, you know, we're spending too much on IT, or are we getting value for what we're spending? Do we have too much devoted to HR? You know, I'm talking specifically about the administrative budget. And, you know, we examine that, you know, are all these activities important? And if, just because we've been doing them in the past and they're built into the budget and, you know, we're functioning, doesn't mean that it's a good use of public funds, or the best use of public funds.
Manager Shackleton?
So I'm trying to quick throw some oil on my really rusty Humphrey degree. Zero-based budgeting is the concept, and I'm asking now, is the concept of start from zero and analyze your budget starting from zero.
Right.
To justify to just reanalyze whether every process or everything you're spending money on makes
Right.
sense and aligns with the priorities of the
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Erdahl?
And just as kind of another point of clarification, my understanding of zero-based budgeting is as opposed to baseline budgeting, where, which is, I think, historically how the budgets have been put together for the district, is to look at prior year spending, look for things that go up or down and explain those variances, but still have kind of that baseline assumption of the budget. So zero-based budget eliminates the baseline, so it starts with $0, and then it builds the program based on whatever priority criteria you'd want to have. So to your point, I think it's, for the whole organization, that would be
Right.
a monumental task to assume, even with the short timeline we have right now in progress already in work plans and budgets already. I think that would be a challenge to accommodate. I understand totally what you're looking at trying to do, is try to make sure that our programs aren't legacy programs that are just always done because they've always been done, but there's value there for the dollars spent. And I guess I'm trying to, in my mind, think of this, there's some other alternative way that would fit into the budget process, or there's some other kind of audit, program audit type process that could do some of the same work, and then maybe just with the short timeline we have right now, but
Yeah, the program audit is kind of a policy based, which I'm comfortable with. We got a good high level of comfort on the programs and how they fit into our policies, but I'm not sure about the fiscal part of it.
And perhaps this is something that could be explored
Yeah.
or as the year goes forward, rather than asking it to be incorporated into a plan that's underway.
Whichever the board feels,
Andrew Calkins.
I guess as I would view zero-based budgeting, and it may have nothing to do with the actual definition, but is that you essentially are justifying the dollars spent in each of the programs or projects that are going into that expenditure. And I think that's great. But if the goal is to review that, do that kind of review, I'm not sure what we gain by only having it done in one department.
Because it's going to take too much work, to do it district-wide. And that department's small enough, and we could all, it's a pretty clear understanding, I think, of what all the functions are, just to make sure that we're not allocating the money the way we want it.
So is the intent, though, to do that for one department, and then the question would become is which department and why, but to just do that and to see if it is a worthwhile exercise and then pursue that next year? Is
Yeah,
that the goal?
In a subsequent, if it works, if we think there's value in doing it, then we take on another department next year, and it would be too hard to do it in all the departments in beginning, in 1 year, I believe.
Well, the time frame is too short.
Yeah.
I think if staff knew that that was an expectation, each department could then do it for the following year.
Yeah.
But to do that now for everybody would be.
You couldn't do it.
The time frame is much too short.
What if I just take this and we'll put it on the list of pending agendas and work it up as a discussion so that we can all understand exactly what it is, how it might work, what's involved.
Sure.
I'd be happy to do that, and it wouldn't require any board action. I'll
Okay.
just schedule this topic.
Now, and that's fine, but at the same time, I'd like a report on the motion I made last week about following up on the resolutions for the last several years. Are we ready for a report, Council?
Mr. Smith?
Madam Chair and Manager Miller, Mr. Mant and I will be prepared to present that at your next board meeting.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
Manager Calkins, did you have your hand up?
If we're done talking about that,
We are.
yeah. Returning to.
Was I dismissed?
No, your idea is going to be get a good full
I'm
discussion.
just kidding. We're done talking about that.
Returning to item number 3 then. I'm not sure how this will work in the context of this evening's discussion, is that if we have things that we, as individual managers, are interested in suggesting that the district become involved in the next, in years to come, is the intention to discuss those at length this evening and make a decision about that, or is the intention just to come up with a wish list?
Well, I had thought that if ideas that might take longer could be moved forward into a discussion phase. But if there are topics you have, I think just let's work on it. If the majority of the board think that's a good topic, then I'll just put it down as something to be discussed going forward.
Okay, because I do have a list, but I don't have it here this evening.
Mhm.
So I can think of a couple of things that might be on that list, but I don't have a complete list.
Okay,
So would you prefer that I send that to you
sure, it'd be great.
as a list?
Sure.
Why don't you just copy us all? BCC or something? Because
Just don't respond.
What's that?
I try not to.
Don't
anyway.
respond.
Make it easy for
Right,
us.
I won't copy Lewis on the response, how about that?
Wait.
Okay.
And that offer's open to anyone. Manager Blixt?
So I'm not sure what this really means, but I know that Manager Shackleton had an idea that he mentioned to me recently, which was the revival of the, opening up the pipe in the deer pen. Is that, as a possibility to be looked at again? Right?
Yeah. In theory, it shouldn't be that hard.
Right.
Why didn't we look at that?
Because the park
Park board.
superintendent didn't want to
Yeah,
bring the subject up.
but things have changed,
The park
so,
board has changed.
so we might have a different opportunity
Yeah.
Okay.
at this point.
Yeah.
That's why we would want to bring it up now.
All right, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Are we going to stay here, Jim?
Yes, we are. We just thought that'd be easier.
I can turn off the YouTube and the recording.